and good afternoon and welcome to Locked In Stitches. I hope you are all having a great afternoon. As always, my name is Julie Hall and I'm happy to be here this afternoon. Oops. Never remember to turn that media volume down. Okay. Why isn't this letting me do this? Sorry guys. Media, there we go. Okay, so hope everybody's having a great day. It is a blustery and cold day here in Canberra. You can see I am back in my winter clothing. And I can see Michelle Reynolds is here with us. Thank you for joining us, Michelle. The wind is just amazing. It is just so miserable out there. And I can see I've got Lisa Callum and Trish Callum here as well. Thank you for joining us. Lisa, I'm so pleased your machine is now working well for you. Lisa was just texting me and she stitched through her hoop earlier today when her machine had a slight, probably heart attack, what would you reckon? So I'm glad that is all working better. And I can see Robin Willow's with us as well. Thank you, Robin, for coming along. So today is the last in the Sunday stitch-alongs with the Christmas traditions. And as well as showing you the main block, I'm also going to show you how I've put this project together. And you'll notice that there are now 4 designs that have been uploaded, and thank you very much, Michelle, for uploading those for me. 4 designs that have been uploaded to the website that are quilting designs, and I'm going to show you how I've used those quilting designs just to add that little bit of extra pop to the project. And I can see Sandra Johnson's watching as well. Thank you for joining us, Sandra. So it's one of those days that I've got my coffee back with me. And it's nice and hot because I need the warming up. But the block we're going to work on today is the pudding. So let's come along to our machine and look at how we're going to get started. And the first thing that I'm going to do is turn my light off here, just to make it easier on myself. And I'm using an extraordinarily large hoop that I normally would not use for this project, simply because I need the other hoops are already set up to do the quilting. So I'm going to attach my hoop, and then the machine's going to move itself to the center position. So I've got my basting stitch ready, and I've got the wash away thread loaded into the machine. And it must be the day for things starting to go just that little bit wrong, because I was stitching something out this morning in preparation for our Locked In Stitches class this week, and the first thing that happened was my stitching went totally out of alignment. It didn't make any special noises, nothing like that. It just went kaput. Okay, so the pudding is a really cute and quick design, and I'm going to start off by loading up, and it really doesn't matter really what colour you start off with. I'm going to start off with my red because I'm going to do a red plate. finish our outline. And Victoria Latham, thank you for joining us. I can see Dashanka's here as well. Thank you for coming along. I hope you're doing well down in Melbourne. If you could, Dashanka, I'd like you to make the weather really, really good, because I'm coming to Melbourne next week to visit my mother-in-law. And, it'd be nice if the weather was better than what I've got here at home. Okay, so what I've got here, and you can see I've just turned that pattern around or the fabric around, because the pattern would have been in the wrong angle. And thankfully I've got just enough there left to cover it. So what's everybody been up to this week? I know a whole lot of ladies who are here are up at a retreat in Queensland, and I'm very jealous of those being able to do a retreat. I know that there's another retreat going on in Tamworth that a couple of ladies in our group are at, so it's nice that everybody's getting the chance to go out. And I actually went out yesterday. For the second week in a row, I went, I took Grace, last week I took Grace and Emma. This week I just took Grace bra shopping. And I'm saying that she's got, and she's not in the room so it's okay to talk about her, I'm saying she's got Cinderella boobs. This one doesn't fit, this one doesn't fit, trying to find the perfect bra for her. Oh, Jodie, hello, thank you for watching. Barbara Evans, thanks for coming along. Yeah, Dashanka's been working. I did something stupid this week. I went out and worked outside of the house doing what I used to do in my old life, which was corporate IT training. And it didn't take long to remember why I don't like doing that so much anymore. But because I did it, the girl who I did the job for, it's her hubby who's looking to put the extension on our house for us. So he came and measured up. So, quid pro quo. And I've chosen a browny sort of rusty red as my pudding colour. I actually really dislike Christmas pudding. The only Christmas pudding I like is the Darryl Lee Nougat one. But I generally make a Christmas pudding. Hubby doesn't like Christmas cake, but because his mother always made a Christmas pudding, and it's got to be the one in the flour sack and the blah, blah, blah. So I try and do that for him each year since his mother doesn't make it anymore. So my cream colour, I'm choosing this creamy, beigey, browny, and now that I'm saying that, I'm not that happy with that as my colour, so instead I've got a bit of cream here, and I'm going to use that as my colour instead. See, good things come from not putting stuff away. I finally finished this week. As I was cleaning up my office, I had all of these sort of scraps of fabric and fat quarters that I had got either from Mum's or that I've just used and then chucked back in the pile. So they were taking up an entire cube box. And so I've ironed and folded each and every piece And yeah, it's amazing how much less space they take. It's quite strange. And thankfully these days, I've got options with Christmas pudding. Generally, at least one of the girls wants an ice cream cake. So we end up with pudding, ice cream cake, and real cake because, of course, the girls' birthdays are Christmas Day. And okay, that's lagging a little bit. Let me just see what to get that at a better speed. That's better. Okay, so now I need my little holly leaves. And yet, as well as now the wind, we've got the horrible wind to go with it. Sorry, as well as the wind, we've got the horrible rain now as well. And now we're ready to stitch. So I'm going to continue on and do the red around the plate. Victoria, thank you for joining us, my dear. Lovely to have you. Now, while I do that, I should probably look for all my colours of thread that I need as well. What do you reckon? That's probably not a bad one for the pudding. So one of the things that I want to show you, and I'll do it whilst the next part's stitching, is how I've started to put this together. Now, what I do want to show you though is this is one of the pieces I was working on this week, and I was doing up the video for the Great International Craft Show, which is happening weekend after next, online and in Bendigo for those who are anywhere near Bendigo. But this was a panel that I just bought from the local Spotlight, and I just loved the fact that it was the Australiana print. And I've come through and I've done the continuous edge-to-edge quilting. I've also echoed the font that was printed on and then customized it with a name. So we're going to go through in the Great International Craft Show and show you exactly how to do that one yourself. And there's my plate. And I was actually talking with the editor of Machine Embroidery magazine, the magazine that this was initially published in, going on sort of 10 plus years ago now. And we were laughing about just, it was just so popular, it was amazing. Sort of when we bought it out. The other question that I've had, and I won't get to it this year, but I will definitely start working on it so that I've got it there for next year, is I've had so many people asking for the Aussie animals with the Santa hats, so the ones without the train, and for a what was the other one that people were asking me for? The Advent calendar. We bought an Advent calendar after Christmas last year. We bought the Aldi Booze Advent calendar. And we managed, because they were all these tiny little bottles of wine, I think we managed to cram 25 days of drinking into 2 nights. So we were rather proud of ourselves, but some of them were just horrific. So I won't be going back and getting that one this year. And mind you, there were 3 or 4 of us, so I don't think we're totally horrible. Always here, can't you? I think I've just run out of thread. And I knew that might happen, but being the stingy person that I am, I did not want to not use it up, because now I'm just going to have 2 to use up later instead of just 1. Makes sense in my mind, honest. And once again, this is a crepe thread, and you can see how easily that just sheared off before. But I'm doing my best to get rid of all of my crap threads by using them up. So another red letter day this week. The children went back to, Edward went back to work. Better than the children going back to work. So he now works 2 days in the office. And some thread serum really should have been used on that to make that go better. Now mind you, most of these crap threads are probably up around 20 years old, because it doesn't take you long to learn that there's a difference between good and crap. And has anybody ever said to you when you've been complaining about, having crap threads, oh, it's really not worth it, I should just chuck them? No, keep them, because you can use them in your overlocker or something like that. Never have I ever actually used those threads in my overlocker. Oh, actually, I did once. I think I did my wedding veil on the overlocker, and I used a white thread. Okay, this is going well. So, it's always some options when things start going wrong with your thread and it's shredding. The trick is always working out whether it is the thread or whether it is the needle. Now, I have done a lot of metallic thread work this morning, so it could absolutely be the needle. And what I'm going to do is I've just used some thread serum here, and I'm going to see if that makes a difference, because that would be a hell of a lot easier, to be perfectly honest. But if it happens again, then I go to changing the needle. Nope. Okay, needle change it is. Now my sister-in-law drives me crazy. She tightens her needle. She refuses to come through and use the screwdriver to tighten the needle. She thinks she can get it just as tight with her hand. And of course what happens is when the needle goes up and down and up and down, things start to loosen up. So you do need it tightened as hard as you can. Well, not as hard as you can, like you don't want to break the thing, but you do need it tightened to begin. not liking that at all. Let me be shearing it off still. Next thing I'm going to do is try a different thread. One thing that I found this week, we had 2 days of really nice weather and I was stitching with metallic, and then we had a couple of days of really crappy fabric, and I really noticed, now that's not liking that, I noticed that on the days when it was raining and there was a lot of moisture in the air, I was having a lot of trouble with metallic thread. Oh, I absolutely agree with tightening the walking foot. It's got to be done. But what I have been working is these lace ornaments. So these are what I was working on, and you can see here how crappy it looks. This was on the wet day. These were on my nice dry days, and this was on the shittiest thread in the face of the earth, which I actually just bit the bullet and got rid of. So what I'm doing, and I'm going to turn it into just a little half-hour stitch along for 12 days, making Christmas ornaments. And all I've used is the lace, some electric tea lights, a bit of ribbon, and a hot glue gun. And they are going to become my Christmas tree ornaments for this year. So I'm hoping to have that one all finished this week. Might be a nice one to work on tomorrow, whilst I'm sitting around the hospital. Okay, I can see Tracy is here with us. Tracy is watching us on YouTube. Thank you for joining us, Tracy. Oh, sorry, I got that wrong. Tacey. I can see we've got Mary Monroe from Kansas. Thank you for coming along. What's things like in Kansas at the moment? We apparently had a red letter day in the ACT this week. On Thursday night, they revoked the mandatory masks in shopping centres. So the kids still have to wear them at school. Cameron still has to wear them to cook at Macca's. Windy and cool, yep. Okay, so it's kind of like being in Canberra today. Only thing is, I'm supposed to have brilliant weather already. It's supposed to be nice here. Oh, there you go. They just updated it. It's now 9 degrees. Okay, so what do they reckon the rest of the week's going to be? Okay, getting a little bit warmer. Thursday will be a nice day here. And in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have 27 degrees. Oh my. Okay. So now I can come over and start doing my holly leaf. And what I've done, and actually I'm going to go through first what we will do with the wall hanging, because I know that we're sort of suggesting 2 different ways that you can do this. So what I want to do first is just look at the wall hanging. <gasps> 27 degrees, show off there, Lisa Callum. Don't you hate it when you just think you might be going crazy? You can't find what you're looking for. Okay. So, when I have put this together, what I've done is worked on this a single row at a time to start with. So I was doing this row and then adding it to this row and then the 3rd row and the 4th row. Once I've put the borders on it, I then basted it with the quilt basting gun. Actually, no, I didn't, because I didn't have the quilt basting gun there. I pinned this sucker. But these days I would be using the quilt basting gun. And I came through and using a either invisible thread or a close colour match thread, which would be a really dirty grey, I would suggest. I came through and stitched in the ditch around each of these blocks. And that just created the quilting. What I've done a little bit different this time is for your 5-inch blocks, and if we come here, okay, so these are our 5-inch blocks here, the ones that have been done with the Christmas fabric. I've given you a design which will sit in there and be the quilting design, and I'll show you what those two designs look like. So there's two that are 11 centimeters, and you've got the bells, and you've got the snowflakes. So that's just if you want to take it to that next level and add that little bit more interest. You don't have to, it is just an option. And thank you very much, Michelle Reynolds. Facebook locked me out of being able to upload files today. Facebook have decided they really don't like me, and that I'm a subversive person apparently, and so I'm not allowed to add any files to anything. So Michelle has added the quilting 1, 2, 3 and 4 designs. Any questions about how I've done that? And that's our full quilt. And I'm going to show you in a minute, once we finish stitching this block, I'm going to show you exactly how I've done the, exactly how I've created the quilting, I'm reading as I'm going here, guys, sorry. Mental blank. How I do the quilting. Jody would like to see how you created the quilting. Does she mean how I created it in the software, or does she mean how I do it on the machine? So we do have an extra minute or two, and I'll show you how. Let me just grab a file here. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking for the best type of a design to come through. And show you. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, so while that one's stitching out, let me show you, and what I've got here is just a quilting template, and started off as a free image on the internet, and what I'm going to do is turn that into a continuous quilting border design. So what I've done here, and the software that I'm working on is Hatch Wilcom Genome software. Sorry, I've just got to check at the same time. There's nothing else on that one there. Sorry guys. So all of those software are basically the same, and the first thing that I do is come through and lock the artwork so that it doesn't move on me, and that's just because I can get slap hazard. I want to digitize an open shape. It's going to be a single run, and I want my stitch length to be about 3 millimeters. That's your maximum stitch length. You can see there you've got a minimum as well, and I always leave the variable on because as you go around curves you need different different stitch lengths, otherwise it just looks shocking. And choose a place to start, and I'm going to choose a place that allows me to do a repeat. So if I start at this flower here and then I end at that flower there, it will be a good position for me. And I want to zoom in because I'm blind, and using my right mouse button to get my curves and my left mouse button to get my straight points, I come through and I just start creating that design. Now remember that quilting is very open. You're not necessarily looking for precise, you're looking at something that's going to give you that hand done look. So if my circle isn't quite perfect, that's actually okay with me as a general thing, because it adds to the reality of the look and makes it look more hand done, which in the end is what I want. And I've had a lot of requests lately for one with a bee, so I might have to do another set of quilting designs as well. Okay, so that is my basic design, and then I can just hit the D button, which gets rid of the display. Now, to see if that works as a continuous design, what I need to do is copy and paste that down, and then drag it. And I'm doing this with the keyboard because I want it to keep on the same axis as it would in real life. Okay. And so what you can see there is that is my joining point on that design. So I could go down and repeat that over and over again and come out with a beautiful border, or even a continuous quilting piece. So if I used that, probably would want to of it off almost. So I'd want to offset that if I wanted to lock it in. And I'm just going to get rid of my hoop up here. But yes, if I wanted to offset that, that would make quite a cute quilting design all over. Okay, so I'm just going to come back here for a second, and once again, of course, ask questions if you do have any, because the next thing that we want to do is just do our berry leaf. So I'm back at my red. My pleasure, Jodie. Happy to show you that one. Don't you hate it when you think you've got more coffee left, but you look in the mug and there's nothing there left in it? It's the sad, sad days. And I can see I've got Shannon Margaret Brott here as well. Thank you for joining us, Shannon. No one ever has to apologise for being late except for me. Yeah, I quite like that. I might have to save that one, Lisa. I agree. It's kind of nice looking. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to get my Christmas holiday project sort of setting in my mind. My sister called me on Friday night and nearly gave me a heart attack. So she called, and you know, I answered. It's easy, and it was just as I was walking in the door from picking the girls up. So I've got my mylar here, which is going to give that glittery effect. And I hear, "Oh, Julie, your father," and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, what's happened? Oh heavens, I'm going to have to go up to Dad's." It's no. One of the younger nieces scammed my father into hosting her 13th birthday party, sleepover at his house. Her mother didn't turn up, which Leanne and I are both kind of very frustrated with, leaving a 76-year-old man responsible for 5 13-year-old girls. And it's just, I mean, you know, Dad's a sucker, but it's just inappropriate that the kid's mother even let that happen. Okay, so what we have here is my Christmas pudding, and I'm quite happy with that. I think that looks really nice. And that's our last major block. Now, what I'm not going to do today is show you the 2 blocks above, because we've already done them. It's one of the stars, and it is one of the words. Because instead, what I want to show you is how I've put all of this together and how I've done the quilting. So, what I'm going to do is come over to the handwork table and let me just grab my project. Okay. So, what I've got here is half of my project. We are going to use this hoop, which I've set up as the Magna hoop, a little bit later. But first of all, we're going to use the larger section. So this is half of my project, because when I was looking at the size of it fully, the idea of cutting the wadding and pulling it all together was just too much for my mind, to be perfectly honest. So instead, what I did was I just took half of the project and I cut the backing fabric and the wadding for half of that project. Now, as my wadding, I have just used embroiderer's felt. Because this is just a tree skirt, I didn't need anything more on it. After I've used the quilt basting gun, and you might be able to see here all of my different little tags that I've got tagging the entire thing together. For those of you who haven't seen the quilt basting gun before, let me show you. So this is my quilt basting gun, and it has a really fine needle and a really fine pin. And all it does is it holds all of the layers of your project together without needing pins. So I've done that, and then I've come through and I have stitched in the ditch down each row. And you can stop there if you want. You don't have to go any further than that. But I wanted then to take it to the next level as well. And what I've done is I've added another 2 quilting designs. So we've got a triangular snowflake and a triangular holly leaf. And all I'm doing is popping those designs between the 2 segments of the pie, just for a little bit of additional interest, for lack of a better thing, in the quilt. So what I've got here, and I'll be able to show you better when we've finished our quilting, but knowing that it was only going to last for 3 or 4 hoopings, I was happy with that. I cut a piece of stabilizer, and then I cut around the inside. And I've used my Magna pins, and I'm just going to show you here what I mean. So I've cut around the inside, so there's no stabilizer under where I'm going to quilt, and I've just used my Magna pins then to hold down the stabilizer to the project. And I'm going to come through now and set up for quilting this this design. I've just got to work out where I put the design. There we go. And I'm using a really pale ice-ish blue colour thread that matches my fabric. So give me just a second to hoop this up. And let's come over. And I'm being very, very careful because I don't want it to leave the hoop. So here is my design, and you can see with my chalk marking pen, I've also marked up the center point. So what I want to do is then jog the machine over until it's in just the right position. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And then, now I know, because I printed out my template, I know that the edge of that quilting is going to come over here on my soldier's wrist. And I'm okay with that. If not, you could always jump over it or leave that design out. Now, an interesting question that I had the other day, and Brains Trust asking you guys what you think. I had the opportunity now to buy some of the vellum paper, and if you're not sure what the vellum paper is this see-through paper that you use to print out your templates. So I had the opportunity to buy some of the vellum, and I couldn't decide whether or not it was something that I wanted to stock. I use it a lot when I do when I do quilting, but I really don't use it for anything else. How about other people? How do you guys work with templates? And is that something that you would actually use? Because at the moment I buy it from Officeworks, and it's not the cheapest product, unfortunately. I think I can assume that my daughter is in the kitchen cooking at the moment, because I just saw my husband walk by to get Cameron with a biscuit in his mouth, and I know there are no biscuits in my house. Okay. That's okay, it's all come down in price. That makes it a lot easier. So you can get 50 pieces for $6. Nah, I'm not going to stock that. Because it used to be 50 pieces and they were like trying to get $50 for them. The other way that this would look really pretty as well would be if you used, I'm just going to speed that up slightly, if you used a metallic thread. I could see this done in silver would look quite lovely. Yeah, Rita, exactly the same. So that's the part that we knew was going to go over the arm. But that is the only design that happens on. Now, where is mine stopping here? When you do yours, the version that I've sent to you guys, that doesn't have that jump. That was me not organising it correctly and then not uploading the new one onto my machine. Okay. And I really do just think that just makes that design. So now I'm going to come over and show you how I actually put that all together. So basically I'll reverse engineer it for you. Okay, so what I did was I have my hoop with my piece of tearaway stabilizer, and I just got a Stanley knife and cut out, and I cut that out about 1/2 inch inside of where the hoop edge was. So I've gone 1/2 inch inside that way and top and bottom. When I'm getting ready to do everything, I've got a flat surface here and I've got the backs. I just come through and I slide underneath the magnet backs. So I'm using 8 magnet backs around there. And then I center based on this line, and you can feel that on your hoop if you go to the right spot, and mark up your side positions as well. And then you can just really easily, and because it's magnets, you can feel when they are in the right place or the wrong place. And that's all I've done for setting that size. When it comes to the smaller, and either of these is fine, there is nothing wrong with either of these options. But I didn't want to put the smaller design into this large hoop, and because I had just been doing quilting designs, I came through and I grabbed my my Magnapinned quilt hoop, and I'm going to come through and I've got the halfway point there and there on the hoop. And I can then come through and pin that all around. Now, the hardest part will be, of course, where that vinyl is. Okay, so now I'm going to come through and load up the next design. So the next design is again from our Christmas sampler, and we want to use our 5x7 hoop. And because I'm going between pink and red here, I'm going to use a red thread for my quilting. And I'm just changing my colours each time depending on what colours I've used in the blocks. Then I'm going to gently lift my quilt and place it on. Now I've just got to stand up to get this on properly. I swear to God, the damn thing knows when you're on live. There we go. Okay. And the only other measurement that I want to take is I want to measure where the center is between these two parts. So, thinking that I had a ruler here, tape measure is good enough as well. I'm going to come through and mark up with my chalk that is where my center is. And then again, I want to come through and use okay. And start my stitching. Murphy's Law says that as soon as you're on the telly, that one's going to come through. So that's then one side done. Okay, so that is how I've done the quilting on this project. Once I've got the two halves there, and we'll pretend I'm going to do this half. So I can take that away now. So once I've got my two completed, what I'm going to do is join the two halves together, leaving of course one side open so that it does actually wrap around my tree. I'm going to use sort of the quilt as you go method to join them together and quilt between those two panel pieces once you've done the joining all together. And then you are just going to bind right around the edge, including this circular piece in the center. Now, a trick to that is to actually use bias binding to do your that binding. Because we are working on a circle, you are going to get a much nicer look in the end with bias binding. But I am so happy with how this has all come together. My goal is to finish my entire tree skirt. I was going to say this week, and then I remembered everything that I've got on this week. So probably the week after next, so that I can show you how that looks. Okay, oh, God help us. You can see that I've been running my hands through my hair. Okay, so that is our Sunday stitch along all done. If you have been enjoying this stitch along and would like, obviously, a different sort of thing, but another stitch along next year, please just let me know. It's been really good for me to be able to do it, and I do have some ideas on things that we could use as a stitch along. Within the next week or so, I will be popping up the Chris Lace stitch along, which is going to be for half an hour each day, and I'm going to run it twice because we've got enough time before Christmas. So the details of that one are coming your way. And other than that, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate your company. I love the fact that you come through and talk to me. I really, really want to see pictures of everything that you've done. It does not bother me if you've used my designs with other designs as well. And as part of that, I've got to show you some of the designs that people have shown us so far. Let me come through, because Trish Callum put hers up today, and I thought that was just brilliant. So she's used a mix of my designs and then some others as well. I think the angel is gorgeous, and I'm loving the bell and the Santa face as well. And Trish, I think you've just done a magnificent job. And then others that we've had, let me come through to media. That was Trish's again. I am just in awe of what Michelle has done here. Putting Santa into, which was on a piece of fabric, into the doorway was just a piece of art. Like, I'm loving the way different people think. So please do share things with me, because yeah, I love seeing it. So otherwise, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you're watching us on YouTube at the moment, take time to check us out on our Locked in Stitches Facebook group, which is where you can download the quilting designs that are a part of this project. Other than that, thank you all so much and have a stitching day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.